In 2015, this incident took place in Glasgow, Scotland. Karen Buckley, 24, went out with her pals to a nightclub on April 11, 2015, and she never came home. Karen Buckley was born in 1991 to John and Marion Buckley in the Irish city of Cork. Of the 4 children in her family, she was the only girl and the youngest. Karen was characterized as a nice and kind individual who was always eager to serve people when she graduated from St. Mary's Secondary School in Mallow. Her profession was primarily determined by her desire to assist others. Karen enrolled at the University of Limerick to study nursing after completing her secondary education. Her passion for occupational therapy brought her to Glasgow, Scotland, where she enrolled at Caledonian University to pursue a master's degree. In January 2015, Karen went to Glasgow and shared an apartment with 3 other fresh female students. She and her roommates visited a nightclub around 2 kilometers away from their apartment on April 11, 2015. They enjoyed themselves after arriving at around 11:45 p.m. Karen informed her companions about 1 in the morning that she was off to the bathroom and would be back soon. Leaving her jacket on the table where the company was seated, she grabbed her handbag and walked out. Her pals kept having a good time without her. They came to the realization eventually that Karen ought to have returned by then, but she had been gone for a long. Karen was unable to be located in the club when her pals went looking for her. Trying to reach her on the phone did not work either. The people Karen arrived with speculated that she could have returned home, but it was odd that she left her jacket behind and didn't inform anybody. The pals learned their presumptions were incorrect when they got home. Karen was also not present. At that point, all Karen's pals could think about was meeting someone at the club and taking him home with her. The girls retired to their beds with this notion. When Karen's neighbors awoke around midday, they were shocked to see that she had not gone back home. When I tried calling her again, there was no answer. Karen did not even check into any of her social media accounts, nor did she reply to messages there. Despite just having known her for a few months, Karen's acquaintances realized that this conduct was not typical of her. Instead of making up a new story to comfort themselves, they went to the police and reported her disappearance, also telling the Buckley family what had occurred. The Scottish police should be commended for their prompt search for Karen. Both television and the press carried stories about her disappearance. Karen's parents urged anybody with knowledge of their daughter's location to get in touch with the authorities. Detectives, meantime, had video from the club where Karen had last been seen. The cops looked through them and found that she had communicated with an unidentified individual. This man's identification was determined 36 hours after she vanished, on April 13th, and he was hauled in for questioning. Alexander Pacto was the young man's name, and he was 21 years old. He acknowledged that he had definitely met Karen that evening, and that they had returned to his Dorchester Avenue apartment, which was about 3 kilometers away from the club. He also said that they had shared intimate moments. Karen made the decision to return home at 4 a.m., even though he had offered to remain until morning. Alexander said that Karen had struck her head on the bed's corner during their intimate moments, leaving a cut on her head and scuffs on the linens. The police responded to this information in a variety of ways. Pacto seems to desire candor on the one hand. However, he appeared to be averting the situation and attempting to clarify what the authorities may discover should they search his flat. April 13th, the same day, a guy called the police to report finding a woman's pocketbook. After some research, it was discovered that he had discovered Karen's purse at the park next to Alexander Pacto's home. It had her paperwork and phone. This finding added credence to Pacto's account of what happened. Karen could have experienced anything after leaving his flat. The aggressive hunt for Karen went on in the interim. Numerous parks, forests, waterways, and abandoned buildings were combed by hundreds of police officers in an attempt to unearth any information that would aid in the inquiry. The The police considered Alexander Pacto to be the lone suspect at this point. The last person to see Karen was him. The identity of their suspect was kept a secret, and no information about him was shared with the public. However, reporters learned about it when police investigated his residence and the neighborhood 2 days after Karen vanished. Alexander Pacto's name hasn't remained a secret since reporters from one of the newspapers spoke with other building occupants. We will revisit this later, but it is crucial to note now. Thus, a search warrant for Pacto's flat was acquired by the police. They arrived and were immediately struck by the overpowering stench of bleach. They also saw that his bed's mattress was too small for the bed. Samples of the small, dark red spots that were discovered in the bathroom and on the bed were sent for analysis. The unit also included a significant supply of cleaning materials and a box of tools. A police dog with body search training gestured close to Pacto's vehicle. Detectives discovered that Alexander Pacto had brought his automobile to a car wash the day before, but the quality of the treatment seemed to be subpar as they awaited a search warrant for the vehicle. The same tiny, dark red stains were discovered inside the passenger door during the search, and samples of these were sent to the lab. Suspicions that Karen was dead increased with every new finding, yet the search for her went on. As said before, reporters managed to identify the culprit, and the next day, one of the newspapers ran a picture of Alexander Pacto on its main page. Remarkably, the investigative process benefited from this press action. After noticing Pacto's picture in the newspaper, a guy gave the police some intriguing details. He claimed to have worked with Alexander in the past, and to be aware that he leases a warehouse situated on a farm outside of Glasgow. Pacto's apartment is around 9 kilometers away from the address of this property. Every lead was valuable, and the data gathered was looked into. The farm's owner acknowledged that Pacto pays him £10 a week for storage space. Both the location and the storage area are here. Inside, they discovered Karen's body, which had been dissolved in caustic soda, in a 200-liter barrel, and very reactive alkaline material that dissolves organic molecules is caustic soda. In addition, they discovered pieces of a mattress that Pacto had attempted to burn in a bonfire. He was taken into custody as a suspect in the Karen Buckley case on the same day, April 15th. Acknowledging that there was a substantial body of evidence against him, Pacto admitted to killing Karen. He asserted, nonetheless, that he acted in self-defense. An estimated chronology of the days when Pacto killed Karen and tried to hide his tracks was put together based on the evidence that the police uncovered and the suspect's statement. Karen thus departed the club on the evening of April 11th to 12th at approximately 1 in the morning. The reason she did so was still a mystery. According to her pals, Karen indicated she would go to the restroom and return, but there was never any quarrel between them. It's still unclear why she left her jacket behind, even if we assume that she departed to go home for some reason. 1,900 hours of surveillance video was studied by the officers investigating the case. After exiting the club, Karen and Pacto were seen to cross paths in one of the videos. Following a brief exchange of words, they strolled towards the location where his vehicle was parked. He may have promised to take Karen to her apartment, but once they got in the car, he allegedly attacked her. Karen died in Pacto's car after he whacked her 14 times on the head with a big wrench. The investigators discovered dried droplets of Karen's blood in the dark crimson stains they discovered inside the vehicle, much like the stains on Pacto's bed and in the bathroom. He got rid of the female and started thinking about what to do next. He first took rid of Karen's pocketbook, which was subsequently discovered and turned in to the authorities. He came home at 2 in the morning. The investigators were very astonished by what he did next. From the automobile, he took the body to his flat. He started looking up information about caustic soda on the internet around 8 in the morning using his phone. He then proceeded to a shopping area, where he purchased gloves, a respirator, and 6 liters of caustic soda at 9:42. 6 liters didn't seem like enough, so he stopped at another store on the way home to pick up more caustic soda. When he got back to his flat, he tried to dispose of Karen's body by putting it in the bathtub. Pacto was not a recluse. The neighbor who lived next door was expected to get home at 8 o'clock. After removing the corpse from the bathtub and covering it with a blanket, he concealed it in his bedroom after realizing he wouldn't have enough time to carry out his plan. He tossed a wrench into the River Clyde the next day, April 13th, and divers discovered it there. After that, he went to a retail area that was around 1.5 miles from his house and requested a consultant for assistance. He wanted to know whether there was a solution that could get rid of bloodstains on mattresses. He purchased 2 padlocks as well. He brought Karen's clothes, bedding, and mattress to a farm the same day, where he set them all on fire. He purchased a barrel to store the body in later on the way home. He brought the barrel to a leased warehouse at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, filled it with the remaining caustic soda, secured the entrance with the 2 padlocks he had purchased, and left. At 6 o'clock in the evening, the police came to his house and took him in to be questioned. "You are aware of what transpired next?" Pacto acknowledged his guilt, but he did not explain why. He said that after an altercation in the car, he killed Karen out of self-defense. However, this account did not hold water with investigators, as it appeared to be an attempt to defend his behavior. Police believed Pacto was trying to cover up another crime by murdering Karen and then getting rid of her body. However, specialists were unable to identify whether Karen had been the victim of assault prior to her death, due to the extent of decomposition. Alexander Pacto was found guilty in September 2015 and given a life sentence with the possibility of release after 23 years. He expressed regret and apologized to the Buckley family through his attorney. Pacto admitted to his defense lawyer that the night of the event, he was too drunk to recall why he killed Karen. It's important to remember that he would have been eligible for parole after 25 years instead of 23 if he hadn't entered a guilty plea. In order to ensure that you don't miss any of our next videos, please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell if you enjoyed viewing our videos. Until we meet again.